Yes, sir. I got a little Go CFB hat on, check. Got a little denim jacket on, check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. It's our first live episode yesterday in a long time. I told you I got y'all covered on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. I do have something to take care of tomorrow morning, and that's Wednesday morning. But other than that, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, we got this locked. And when the season starts, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, we definitely got y'all covered. On today's docket, the late window transfer portal is heating up. We spoke about Joey Aguilar yesterday, and we hope that he will find a home. Well, Tennessee and UCLA essentially did a trade. Joey Aguilar for Nico Iamaleava. Who you guys think won the trade? I know who won the trade, but Joey Aguilar is formidable. The 2024 season was abysmal. Like I told you guys yesterday, the city of Boone, the southern part of the United States, was dealing with Hurricane Helene. It was rough. It was bigger than football last year, and I think that's why App State had such a down year. I do have some concerns, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Also, we are going to do our college football 2026 video game wish list, and we're going to also talk about some teams I think some people should be using, as well as some teams you should probably want to start a dynasty with. Governor of College Football, hashtag Go CFB. CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. Governor of College Football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's CJ
defensive minds. They have to be better on that side of it. What a time to be alive and talk about this great sport that we have. Tennessee has found their guy, quarterback Joey Aguilar. And I wonder if Joey Aguilar and Jake Merklinger are going to have like an open competition, or will the job be given to Joey Aguilar, and will he be slated as, one on the depth chart heading into fall camp? I think Joey Aguilar is in an interesting situation. He was at App State for a few years, knew the system, understand the system. He has to go to UCLA, learn that system, Tino Sunseri's system, who I think is going to have a really fun system. And then now he's got to go to Knoxville and learn Jory Hazel and Josh Heupel's, system. That's going to be interesting. The Van Shoot system is different. I think it's a little easy to learn because when, Coach Browse invented it, it was so that, things were spaced out. You're using the entire width of the field, but you could definitely have a power run game outside of it as well. So I'm interested to see that. But Aguilar did light it up, like I said, in the 2023 season. He had 33 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and a completion percentage of 63%. He is a guy that has shown that he has the ability to get this done. Last year was bad. We ain't going to talk about last year's, but I'm just hoping that Tennessee, everything's behind him. I hope Joey Aguilar does have a chip on the shoulder. And like I said, I think it'll be interesting. Like I said, how quickly he picks up the system will certainly be interesting. But, that's Joey Aguilar. Tennessee, UCLA definitely made a trade, and it'll just be, interested to see, where we go from here. Also, in other news, Lee Corso is calling it a career. This was a little bittersweet for me. Like, I'm always happy for someone when, they get their happy trails and it's time for retirement, and he deserves it. But, he brought an immense amount of joy on College Game Day. He really did. Year after year, he brought a lot of joy on College Game Day. His last episode, if we're predicting this correctly, will probably be in Columbus, Ohio, for game day. And it'll be interesting if he starts like he finished. His first ever headgear just happened to be Brutus Buckeye headgear. And it'll be interested, to see if, he does end up picking, during week 1, August 30th at 11:59 a.m. with all of us, having manly tears in our eyes, watching him do it one more time, man. And, hopefully he does pick Brutus one more time versus Texas. It's going to be interesting. Like, I've always been a college football fanatic. College football has always been where my heart is, and it will always be where my heart is, if I'm speaking candidly. But when I think about college football, Lee Corso is one of those people. Lee Corso is synonymous with college football as Jerry West is synonymous with the NBA. The logo, the icon, Lee Corso has been a pioneer in our sport, and that's helped the sport grow, and he's grew it to a point that it's unimaginable. Think about people in the media, people who are able to do, what the Joel Klatts of the world do, what the Josh Pates of the world do, and, what a lot of other people, like what Crane & Company is able to do. Hell, what I'm able to do from an independent standpoint, that is possible because Lee Corso. He made College Game Day such a staple, Saturday staple for me, especially after I stopped playing football, because, I was playing Little League. We always had early Saturday games, but you can't tell the story of college football without Lee Corso. You just can't. You just can't. So, like I said, happy trails, but it'd be one of those bittersweet things. And you're not a human being if, after he put on that last piece of headgear and you don't have tears in your eyes. You're just not a human being at all. Seriously. In other news, we got more interesting news as we go down our news trail. This Jalen Milroe thing really caught my eye the other day, and I try to stay away from NFL talk, but it's draft time, and I'm the type of person, once we get these players as early enrollees in the spring, we have them for 3, 4, or 5, sometimes 8, depending on who you are, seasons. Once the post college season starts, I kind of leave them alone. The Reese Senior Bowl is where we celebrate them every year, and then after that, that's no longer my thing. I'm worried about the next incoming class, and I'm trying to learn who the next Jimmys and Joes of the sport are going to be. But this Jalen Milroe thing really caught my eye, and it's because of this. He's attending the NFL draft, and a lot of people have a lot of opinions about him attending the NFL draft. And when we think about people kind of being in the green room a long time, we think about Brady Quinn, we think about Aaron Rodgers, and NFL is so toxic, bro. They show them like in a cringy way over and over again. They're getting every expression on their face. You can start seeing the anxiety build. Like, I don't know, like I said, as they're in the green room, and teams are passing on them again and again and again. For Milroe, when I think about Jalen Milroe, it's about the experience. And him not going to the NFL draft will be everything that's against what he does, especially when you think about the length notion. It's against everything he does. So the teams that decide to pass on him in the NFL draft, Jalen Milroe would definitely indeed let know. And he's going to look these GMs in the eyes. He's going to look these coaches in the eyes, and this is going to fuel him. Why can't he attend the draft? Because he's currently slated to be a second round pick, a mid second round pick, late second round pick. Some of the mock drafts I looked at had him even being, the top of, day 2, as a second round pick. I seen one or two that had him possibly slated as a late first round pick, but why shouldn't he and family be able to go and celebrate him at the NFL draft just because we believe, he's going to be there for a while? He should still be able to go. He should still be able to get that experience just because, we all know he's going to be waiting for a while and the camera's going to be on him in the green room. If his agent is smart and it's starting to get to him and he see that it's getting to Jalen Milroe, then the agent should be able to say, hey, come with me. Let's step out for a while. They keep pointing the cameras at you. They keep pointing the cameras at your family. So, like I said, I'm happy he's attending the draft. I know it's something that isn't the norm, especially when you aren't expected to be a high pick for you to go there and sit in the green room. But why shouldn't he get the joy of enjoying it? If that's where he wants to be at the NFL draft, he shouldn't have to sit at his home just because, people think that, it's going to take him a while to get drafted. So shout out to him. Shout out to his family. I'm glad he's sticking with his guns. So that's our end to the news segment. Before we get into our next segment, man, we're going to pay some bills. So let's do that right now. Look at you out here using all these other sports books and you ain't even using the best one. BetUS, get 125% match bonus when you use the promo code CFB Nation. Yeah, you heard me correctly, 125% match bonus on your first deposit using that code CFB Nation. We know that college football is in the offseason, even though we don't celebrate that. CFB Nation, we do college football 24/7, but there are plenty of things for you guys to bet on.
Who will have the most wins, OKC Thunder or Cleveland Cavaliers? Can Luka and LeBron make it all mesh to make it to the play-in tournament? Maybe you're a college basketball guy ready to risk it all for Florida to make it to the big dance.
Basketball isn't for you? Maybe you're a football guy. Well, BetUS got you covered with this year's UEFA Championship. Can Liverpool or Barcelona win it all? Will Erling Haaland or Harry Kane lead their teams to victory?
May is going to get popping when the Kentucky Derby hits town. BetUS has you covered in that way too, with all major horse racing events. Point is, type in that promo code CFB Nation and go get that money.
BetUS is our proud sponsor. Don't forget to use that code CFB Nation and you'll get a 125% match bonus on your first deposit. So let's talk about college football 26. I'm excited for the game. I'm really excited for the game, to be honest with you. But 2024 was such a great year for the sport of college football. We had the inaugural 12-team playoff and the long-awaited return of the EA Sports College Football Series. I don't think people realize how difficult it was for them to build this game. And when they made the announcements a few years ago, I knew it would take a couple years for them to make this thing because it's a completely different engine. They couldn't use the same code or the same data that they use from NCAA 14, the beloved game. A lot of us think that might be one of the greatest sports games of all time. So they had to rebuild this thing from scratch. And I remember when the game first came out, how many people were complaining, oh, this is broken, that is broken, oh, we waited 10 years for this. It was just a bunch of complaining going on, and quite frankly, it was annoying to hear time and time again. But I mean, I was excited for the series to come back. And for everybody who complained and talk about, you know, the release was poor and, you know, Keyshawn Junkins is broken, College Football 25 was the second highest grossing game in the United States. And even though the initial projections by people was that it wouldn't even outsell Madden, but it ended up being the second highest grossing game in the United States. That's a win, especially not having this game out for years. So it just shows you how much the sport has grown since the release of NCAA 14. The sport has grown immensely. I think the college football playoff has helped with that. I believe that more people are talking about college football more than ever. So kudos to EA Sports, kudos to the crew. This game, in my opinion, was a really good game for not having a game for as long as we had. Like, it felt good. I traveled. I'm a credentialed member of the media, so I get to go to a lot of games. I get to go to a lot of places. And to see that they were able to capture a lot of these things in the game was unreal. But let's discuss the things that I liked in the first one we did. We already talked about some of the things that a lot of people didn't like. But let's discuss the things that I would like to keep. I love the abilities. Other than Keyshawn's junk and spin move, I didn't deem any other player in the game unstoppable. Some of you will probably disagree with me. Well, Jalen Milroe was unstoppable. There was times that I forgot what ability that was. He was able to escape crazy, you know, you playing online head-to-head. He was able to escape the pocket. But, you know, other than that, I think Nick Harbor was probably one of the earliest cheat codes in the game that people deem. But, you know, whenever I played South Carolina, like, my corners were just backed up. Like, that's what I did. I respected his speed. He had that, what was that ability called? He just fast off the line of scrimmage. It was a platinum badge. Yeah, but other than that, I like the abilities. They didn't seem OP like some of the Madden abilities. Like, if you have a certain speed and what is that? It's like the deep post ability. It's cheating. Like, so I like the way that they had it. In my opinion, other than Keyshawn Junkins' spin move, I like the game. I like the game. It's just that joint was crazy, but they were able to nerf it after a while. The game felt like college football, and I wanted a true college football experience. That is something that I felt like they had to nail year one. It's just year one of the installment. We wanted a perfect game after a 10-year layoff. We weren't going to get that 11-year layoff, We weren't going to get that. So anybody that was expecting that is crazy. We were not going to get a perfect game after 11-year layoff. You tell me, if you work at a job now, right? Let's say you highly proficient. The year now is 2025. 2036, go try to do that job again. You're not going to be as proficient as you are now. It's just not realistic. So people expecting a perfect game after they had to completely rebuild the game, it's just far-fetched. It's just stupid. But what I wanted was a true college football experience. Like I told y'all earlier, I get to travel. I go to games every weekend. And I think this upcoming year, I don't think I'm going to miss. I'll have one by week. Just 1 week I got to see games on TV just to feel, just to be able to capture everything. But other than that, I'll be at a stadium every week. And there'll be some weeks I'll be going to 3 or 4 games. It's just the way it is. But they captured the feeling of college football. being in an NFL stadium and being in a college football stadium, two completely different environments. Like, even as a media member, it's two different environments. Like, me walking into a college football, stadium with my credential on, it's not as much bells and whistles you got to go through. I went to a Pitt and Clemson game last year when Pitt beat the dog crap out of Clemson, right? I'm sorry, it was Pitt at Syracuse, and Pitt beat the dog crap out of Syracuse last year. And it was just like there were people everywhere. And this is I still call it Three River Stadium, Heinz Field. I don't know what it's called now. But it was there, and the amount of security that they had was probably triple what I see at a normal college football game. It's probably triple. Like, you couldn't go anywhere. Like, typically I go to a college game, like, we got access to go take pictures of the locker room, get all type of B-roll and stuff that we'll use for shows and things of that nature. And you don't have that access in there. I remember I tried walking to Pitt locker room and get some pictures. They say, nah, you can't go in there. I'm like, God damn, bro. I can't get some pictures in the locker room. Ain't nobody in there. The players is on the field. I just always like to get those type of things and get those, experiences. But like I said, it's just different. Like, if like, you've been to a bunch of college games, like if you're in Lincoln, Nebraska, and you go to a Cornhuskers game, and there ain't no NFL team near there, but the closest NFL game, like, it's just a different environment. So I think that they were able to do that. And if you remember before the game came out, everybody said, it's just going to be a copy and paste of Madden. It's just going to be a copy and paste of Madden. Play college football 25, then go play Madden. It's a different game. So you beat those, and then everybody want to move the goalposts after that, because that's what people do. People with losers mentality are always going to move the goalposts. Oh, it ain't copy and paste of a Madden game, but it's broken. Look at this. Look at that. Losers going to have losers mentality. It is what it is. But they captured the feeling of the game. Road to College Football Playoff was a hit, in my opinion. I did not expect that. I didn't expect to like the mode, because sometimes I just wanted to go online like I would in NCAA 14, use a team that wasn't that good, but just because there's a player that I liked on that team, and I could just have fun playing online. But if you play comp, like I play 2K, I love the 2K video game, even though 25 is trash. If you play comp, you love the competitive aspect of it. I think I've won 4 natties on this year's Road to College Football Playoff. And keep in mind that y'all probably like, that ain't a lot. I don't play the game a lot. Let's be real. But it was a hit. I love the way that you compete. You're trying to make the playoff, and then once you make it to the playoff, anything can happen. I love that I had that tier-based system, and I love that they did something a lot of people didn't mention, that they revamped the tier-based system that they had on the game. Because remember, I think it was just 3 tiers at first. And I think they moved it to about 5 tiers, which I think leveled the playing field. So you could choose if you want to play somebody within a tier of you, or within 2 tiers of you, or the same tier. So that made the regular season kind of fun if you wanted to use a lower ranked team and stay within that tier. So I love the tier system. I think Road to College Football Playoff was a hit. Road to Glory was not. I'm going to speak a little bit about Road to Glory later. Road to Glory sucked. I think I spent maybe 45 minutes on Road to Glory. It was terrible. Maybe an hour. I don't know. It's terrible. But here's some things I want to see in College Football 26. A lot of this talk is going to be the things that I care about as a college football fan. Think about how chaotic college football is now, with the transfer portal, with NIL, with player holdouts. Like we heard that a few Tennessee players, other than Nico Iamaleava, wanted to hold out for the playoff game, because I'm sure they knew that the College Football Playoff Committee gave the school $20 million, but the players don't get none of that change. But college football in real life is chaotic. Like early signing day, chaotic. Transfer portals happening during early signing day, chaotic. Coaching carousel in real life is chaotic. And I don't think that this variation of the game, that Dynasty Mode, gave you enough chaos. And in my opinion, it was monotonous most of the time. Like, I feel like you play a couple of seasons and it's just like, it's the same thing over and over again. And I feel like some people got worn out with it. Now, I feel like where you have fun is if you use something like a Chat GPT and you create challenges and stuff, like, or you do like a hot seat challenge, which is something I want to do this upcoming season. Coaches who are entering the hot seat, you'll become bowl eligible. Depending on the program, bowl eligibility might not even keep you there. You're gone, and you got to delete your dynasty and start a new one. So there's ways you can have fun. So in real life, like I say, the offseason is chaotic. We know it's chaotic. We talked about the players holding out for more money. Last year, in my opinion, it was too easy to retain players. I don't know if you all felt that way. And feel free to comment in the comment section. It felt too easy to retain players. Like, I felt like I did minimal work. NCAA Football 14, you can literally, like, let's say you're on a user dynasty, and you're waiting like, damn, we in advance. I played my game right when we advanced. We still got another, 36 hours before we advance. You can literally deep dive in recruiting, whether you wanted to build your pipeline. It was just so much more I felt like you can do. And I don't feel like it was as monotonous. And especially with the revamp crew, shout out to them, what they were able to do with the game, I think really broke up the monotony and it made it, more enjoyable to play. So I think they need to add the late window portal. They have to add the late window portal. They have to do it. And I want spring ball and offline dynasties. I get it if you don't want to have it in the online and the user dynasties. Some people don't care about the off season. I care about the off season. The off season matters. That's why we, here at CFB Nation, we say there is no off season. Y'all don't see all the madness we got going on right now. So I want spring ball and offline dynasties. They did that on one NCAA. I don't remember what it was. It might have been 07, but it might have been on like PlayStation. It wasn't on the next gen. So whatever the current gen was at the time, it was on that. It was like, I think we were graduating to PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, but it was on the past gen game where they had. I want spring ball. They should be able to simulate workouts, have practices, establish your depth chart. You should have to, like, at the end of spring ball, establish where your depth chart is, and then you should lose players you don't expect to lose. That should definitely happen. It should be difficult to replace these players in a late window. Tennessee just had to do a mad dash to replace Nico. They was trying to get everybody off everybody's roster, bro. Like, I don't know if y'all saw the panic. I saw the panic. Josh Heupel and company was panicking to find a quarterback. And they got their guy in Joey Aguilar, but they were panicking, bro. And that Joey Aguilar wasn't their first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth choice. He wasn't. And anybody who said that he was is lying. And they know they lying. So I want chaos. We need more chaos in Dynasty, EA. That's all I'm asking for. I just want more chaos. That's it. Just more chaos. NIL. We need NIL in the game. And I understood why in the first rendition of the game. Also, I want coaches in the game, too. I don't think I mentioned that. I want real coaches in the game. Find a way to make that happen. NIL has to be in the game. And I understand why they didn't want to do it in the first release of the game. It's too much. It's the first release. Let's just put a good product out there and then we begin to build. I want NIL in this game. Players should have a number, should have a figure. Success, they win an award, should come with them more money. NIL has to be in the game, and you have to create a budget. And let's say this. Having that budget will add such a unique element to the game. Like, this is our budget. This is what we have. Like, we saw Tennessee doing a mad dash to try to find a quarterback. Like, but if a player's wanting more money, what are you going to do? What bucket are you going to take that money out of? Like I said, I want chaos. Winning should help boost NIL funds. A college football appearance should also boost these funds like they do in real life. Your team makes a college football playoff appearance, your team gets $20 million from the college football playoff committee. It's just the way it works. I think more time needs to be spent on the off season during user dynasties. It was way too simple, way too monotonous last season. I want chaos. Also, at the beginning of each dynasty, you should also have to manage not only your game plan as far as play style, like we have to do every dynasty we play, but also how often you sub, how fast your pace is going to be, what type of defense you run, and all of that stuff. You should also have to adjust your recruiting approach. There should be a percentage-based thing out of 100% of how do you plan on utilizing recruiting? Like, do you want to get 75% of your players out of high school via recruiting? Do you want to get 25 from the transfer portal? Or do you want to kind of use a Deion Sanders approach where it's probably a little too close to comfort for me? But at the end of the day, you should be able to decide that, and you should be able to decide it by position. You should be able to look at your roster, tell, okay, well, this guy's a senior. He's going to be leaving me. What's my plan for replacing him? Are we going to try to replace him via high school, or we going to try to replace him via the portal? These are the decisions that need to happen. Like, it needs to be chaotic. It was just way too easy last season, in my opinion. Road to Glory. I said it earlier. Road to Glory was a huge miss last season. Like I said, I don't think I spent more than 1 hour playing Road to Glory. I really don't. Like, I didn't enjoy it at all. It wasn't enjoyable. And a lot of us was like, damn, why they take high school out of it? Think about how much we could have did with the high school, if they actually had it in the game. And then, like, you start off, you write in college, and yeah, you pick your storyline and how you want to enter it. But like I said, it was just boring to me. It was way too boring. I hated it. So bring back high school. You should start in high school, whether it's an 8-game season, 12-game season, whatever. Play in high school, earn your keep. That helps add the storylines. Like, as creators, people who play this game and want to have the storylines and things of that nature, high school needs to be a part of it. Also, add a post, like your last season, add a post bowl game, whether it's like, the East-West Shrine game or the Senior Bowl. And then when the player is exported to Madden, like, I don't feel like it's your genuine player. I don't know if y'all got that vibe, but that's the vibe I got. Like, it ain't really your genuine player. Like, I don't think, the stats should matter. What he did in college should matter. And also, I know they want you to start at the combine, but it was like, your player, let's say your player really didn't do much in college but have an amazing combine and he gets drafted. Like, make it more realistic. That's all I'm asking. So, continuing this conversation on the college football video game, let's talk about some teams that I think everybody should be using this upcoming year. Alrighty, so we're going to talk about some teams that I think are the teams that we should be using this upcoming year. We already talked about some of the things I had on my wish list. Most of my wish list is just fixing the road to glory and making the dynasty more enjoyable and less monotonous. That was everything I had on my wish list. The only thing I care about. Could there be some gameplay improvements? Yes, I think they'll naturally make gameplay improvements. I think they'll naturally make graphic improvements. But for the most part, it's fixing the dynasty. So let's continue our discussion on College Football 26. Let's talk about the teams that I'll be using for each game mode. If you've seen any of my videos last year, I always use a tier system when I play NCAA. I have my tier A team, I got a tier B team, I got a tier C team, I got a tier D team. And then there's rebuilds that I want to do in Dynasty, as well as like teams that, like, if I'm in a user dynasty and it's a competitive user dynasty and we're not doing restrictions on what type of team you can use, there's also fun teams I would like to use in a dynasty. So we're gonna break all of this down. Let me know in the comment section what team you guys are gonna be utilizing, starting out in your season. So the first team is my tier A team. Clemson is absolutely my tier A team. I think Clemson will be surprisingly a lot of people's tier A team. They're number one in returning production this upcoming season. They've brought back a lot of talent. Hate Dabo Swinney all you want. He's showing that he can do it his way and he can win his way. Like I said, if you add that measuring, like I said earlier about how you want to recruit, his joint will be like 99% high school recruiting, 1% via the portal. I've had the pleasure of being around the Clemson program, and the Clemson program is definitely a friend of the network. And not too many schools show us more love than Clemson show us. There's few that are up there. Wisconsin is definitely up there. Georgia State definitely has a hat in the race. Liberty treats us very nicely. But Clemson is just one of those schools that goes above and beyond for us. Anything that we need, they make it happen. But that's not why I'm picking their team. I'm picking their team because, one, I have a playbook. Air raid playbook is something that me and Moon did. We have about 200 plays in the playbook. We're currently working on a defensive playbook. At some point I may release it as an ebook, but both of us want to get into coaching, so we want to have our playbook. So my playbook is done. The calls, the cadences, everything. Air raid, I think, is just one of the easiest systems to teach. And the type of air raid I want to run a power air raid. But Clemson's air raid is interesting. I think Clemson runs a very different air raid, with Garrett Riley, their coach, than his older brother, Lincoln Riley. But I like their air raid. So let's talk about the players that matter on this Clemson team. Cade Klubnik, he may be in New York in early December for the Heisman. I think you'll have that type of season. I think him and Garrett Riley are building a beautiful connection. And Clemson may give us what TCU gave us in 2022. Freshman running back Gideon Davidson is going to be one of the funnest players to use. I think he'll have game-breaking ability. And I think they're going to give him a pretty decent speed. So it wouldn't surprise me if they gave him 94, 95 speed. And, we talk about a wide receiver core of Westcott, Moore, and Williams. That's one of the best trios in the game. And then when you think about them defensively with T.J. Parker and Sammy Brown anchoring the defense, Clemson is without a doubt my A team. It's going to be a team that I'm comfortable with and a system that I know. And when I play with teams depending on like, of course, I'm gonna always have like the gadget plays, like they have twins, Jeff Sweet. Everybody got that in their playbook. Well, I think everybody at least should have that in their playbook. But I do try to play a lot of times true to the team. Air raid is the system that I understand and know the most. So, like I said, Clemson's gonna be fun to use. That is without a doubt my A-tier team. My B-tier team will be the Auburn Tigers. And I had difficulties picking this B-tier team, and I kind of want to have different teams from last year. My B-tier team last year was actually Kansas State. I enjoyed playing with Kansas State. Avery Johnson was must-see TV on that game. I think he was one of the most slept-on players in that game last year. But Auburn, I really like Auburn. They got Oklahoma transfer Jackson Arnold. He got decent enough speed. I always prefer a dual-threat quarterback in my system, and I think he's dual-threat enough. And he's got plenty weapons on the outside. You guys are going to start to see a trend here. They got Cam Coleman, Malcolm Simmons, and Georgia Tech transfer wide receiver Eric Singleton. That team is going to be fun, and I think I will still utilize my air raid offense with it. Hugh Freeze strong. He's battling cancer right now, so shout out to him. Probably another reason why Auburn was going to be my tier B team. But I'm excited about that. I'm excited about using them this upcoming year. And we'll see. My tier C team is kind of it's not really a homer pick, but it's a homer pick. You feel me? Like, I want to use UCLA. And it's not, I ain't from LA or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? My brother did get his PhD from UCLA, and he's still out in the, Southern California. But I don't like the way Nico was treated, and I don't like the way a lot of people in the media treat him, and a lot of fans treated him. Yesterday's price isn't today's price, and of course he got less money when he went to UCLA, but I'm always on the side of the kids. I'm always going to be on the side of the kids. I'm not on the side of these programs, because for years we seen players, not get paid. Of course they were trying to, pay them under the table for years, but, you go to an Ohio State game back in 2002, you see number 13 jerseys in the stands. Yeah, it was Maurice Claret. He ain't get a dime off of that. The university got the money, though. How was that fit? Same time frame a little earlier, maybe. Yo, to Michigan, you see a bunch of number ones in the stadium. They wearing Braylon Edwards jersey, but he ain't getting paid for it. So I'm always gonna be on the side of these kids. Whether you're a Tennessee fan, no matter what type of fan, who your team is. This kid, and I heard what TJ, who's your mama, as they would say back in the day, said that some of the statements that came out weren't true. Whether they were true or not, college football is big business. It's a business at the end of the day. Just like the United States is a business. It is what it is. Like, it's college football is big business. And these universities are being well taken care of. These players need to be well taken care of, too. So that'll be the reason I'm using UCLA. But not just that. Tino Sinceri runs the front offense, co-offensive coordinator at Indiana last year. We've seen they were able to put up points with Curtis Rourke at quarterback last year. So I think that offense will be fun. That may be one of the only offenses I'll use, because they run like an up-tempo spread. Probably the only offense I'll use other than the air raid in the game. And my tier D team will definitely be Northwestern. And I know some of you are probably like, they're probably better than a D tier team. But the reason I'm using Northwestern, I'm a huge fan of Preston Stone. And I didn't like the way that Preston Stone and Kevin Jennings were treated last season. I'm with the ACC Media Days last year. And there was a couple of teams that brought 2 quarterbacks to ACC Media Days. I think Duke was one of those teams. I think UNC was one of those teams. SMU was one of those teams. But I think SMU was the team that both of those guys could have started anywhere in the nation. And Rhett Lashley, and he did a great job last year. I got SMU into the playoffs, so hats off to him for that. And you talk about Coach Speak, a guy that just speaks football, a guy that's very knowledgeable of football. Rhett Lashley is. But I truly thought that situation could have been handled better. Coming out of spring camp, I wish he had a better idea of who the guy was. And if the guy was definitely Kevin Jennings, because I think he fits the RPO system that SMU likes to run better than Preston Stone, fit this system, but I don't think he wanted to lose Preston Stone. Do right by the kid. Hey, Kevin Jennings is my guy coming out of the spring. This may get changed in fall camp, but Kevin Jennings is my guy, because Preston Stone could have went somewhere else and started. So that's the reason why Northwestern will be my team. And then they also got some pretty interesting players as well. Griffin Wild, he came from the FCS ranks. He had 71 catches, 1,154 yards, and 12 touchdowns last year with South Dakota State. So I think he'll be fun to use. And then they got a formidable running back group in Cam Porter and Joseph Hyman. That should be fun. So those are my 4 teams. I'm using Clemson as my tier A team. My tier B team will be Auburn. My tier C team will be UCLA. My tier D team will be Northwestern. And like I said, I can't wait to cook up with Preston Stone. Let me know in the comment section who you guys will be using in this game. Who will be your tier teams? Do you even use your tier system, or you just like, hey, I'm a Arkansas alum. I'm only using Arkansas. So let me know in the comment section how y'all feel about that. Now I'm gonna switch gears here. We're gonna talk about the best teams to rebuild with. I think last year was kind of cliche. Everybody did a rebuild with Kennesaw State because they were the new team. We do have new teams added. We went from 134 teams last season. We're now at 136. And the Blue Hens of Delaware is number one on my list. I've always liked their jerseys. They kind of similar to Michigan, but they look different. I think that'd be a fun rebuild. So the Blue Hens would definitely be my first rebuild, and they may actually be my first solitaire offline dynasty. It may definitely be Delaware. Kent State, I think, will be a fun rebuild, but it'll be an annoying and frustrating rebuild. They won, one game? 1-23 their last 24 games? That rebuild would be insane. And if EA Sports focus more on the chaos of college football, because college football is chaotic as it pertains to the offseason, and this season is chaotic too. We've seen a lot of upsets this past season. 2024 was a fruitful year for the sport. But I think if they focus more on that aspect of the game, then rebuild should be difficult. Delaware, it's like these recruits should know that they're moving up the ranks, and that they're gonna have some rough years. They may have some rough years. We don't know. Kent State, people should know, like 1-23 their last 24 games. It should be difficult to recruit there. When I say difficult, I mean difficult. So, I would probably even make the slider so that it's difficult to win games. So Kent State will be a fun rebuild. Think about it as a creator, the storylines you can create with a rebuild like that. That would be super fun. So fun teams to start a dynasty with. Texas A&M. If you were in a dynasty with there's no restrictions, it's a comp dynasty, Texas A&M would be really fun. They got Kevin Concepcion, the guy that I got to see the last couple of years at NC State. Marcel Reed, that quarterback, Colin Klein system. Fun team to use. I think that'd be a fun team to start a dynasty with. And surprisingly, I think Colorado would be a fun team to start a dynasty with as well. Like, who do you go with at quarterback? Do you go with the true freshman Julian Lewis, or the savvy fat Caden Salter, who doesn't have many years of eligibility left? Some people probably go with the freshman so they don't lose the freshman. Hey, you lose Caden Salter, you just lose him. So that'll be an interesting storyline. And also on top of that, Shador Sanders has gone to the pros, as well as Travis Hunter. So I think that'll be a fun storyline as well, like competing after losing the stars that they have lost. It's been a fun episode. I love talking college football. I love talking shop. Thank you guys for everybody who was tuned in watching this. Please make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever platform you're on. Shout out to CFB Nation. That's the gang. I am nothing without the gang. I absolutely love what we do, and we look forward to bringing you guys this show, time and time and again. As I always like to say, there are no more victories in the sport that survive in advance. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. And until next time, you guys already know what it is. Take care. One. Governor of college football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's
Two
CJ
great
on
defensive
the
minds.
track.
They have to be better on that side of the ball.